There's something so psychedelic about LomoChrome Purple. The way sunlight turns into hot magenta, the turquoise sky and water, and how almost all greens turn purple. While it does seem to maintain some elements of the natural colors of this world, there's something mind-expanding about this film. It often makes me think of the psychedelic rock from the 60s and album covers like Cream, Disraeli Gears, The Beatles, Sgt. Pepper, and Jimi Hendrix Are You Experienced? But in today's video, we're going to take a look at LomoChrome Purple at night. One thing I noticed with Lomo Purple at night is that green signs in real life did in fact turn to purple as it normally does during the day, or slightly magenta like it does with this gas station. But in other scenes, the purple would not be as obvious unless you saw how it normally looked. The red signs still stayed red on Lomo Purple. But throughout the more subtle scenes, you can see the magenta purple in highlights and the teal turquoise in the shadows. I found at times certain lights emitted a more greenish glow than magenta, and in this scene the magenta is barely noticeable but still present. But here you can see that the interior lights of the building have the magenta look again, and becomes more prevalent on the sidewalks. I found that during overcast days at night when there was ample light, you would get this funky green glow in the sky. My favorite part about this image is actually all the little magenta lights in the condo building behind the Monte Carlo restaurant. Other times I found that the magenta cast was very strong. Here you can see the yellow crosswalk sign on the far right turns into this hot pink. This is probably my favorite night shot on Lomo Purple, mainly because it had all the shades of red, neon pink, purple, and magenta all in one shot. I liked in this shot how the front half of the scene was red from the neon sign, whereas the back half of the image was more magenta from the street lights. Here I liked how the magenta mixed with the purple light leak. And last, you can see with this image that the neon sign was red and seemed to pretty much overtake the entire scene except for the two can lights above the door. I often use this scene as a base to see how a film can compare at night, but for Lomo Purple, you see in this image you can barely tell a difference aside from the brick and the sidewalk with that subtle magenta cast. But with this movie theater scene, you can tell how crazy overboard the magenta goes. I also really like shooting scenes that don't have a lot of light or just a few simple lights. I like how the Cinestill has this kind of greenish look, but the purple has a off-white magenta. First, as you can see with this scene, you can actually see two different main light sources in the street lights. The ones on the right for Cinestill have this kind of whitish look and then very yellow, whereas on the purple film is very magenta on that left side, versus on the right side it turns into this whitish color. So it's really interesting how different scenes can render the color with these films. I recommend when shooting these LomoChrome films at night is that because they have an ISO range is to go with the lower end of the range at least. The other thing is you should definitely bring a tripod. I tend to shoot all my night stuff on a tripod aside from something like a Cinestill 800T or higher where I can get away with a little bit of handheld, but by far recommend shooting with a tripod. Thank you for watching today's episode. On next week's episode, we're going to take a look at Lomo Turquoise at night. This is the third episode in a 4-part series, looking at these 4 lomography films at night. So tune in next week to check out the final episode. And thanks again for watching.